In the heart of the Asante Kingdom, nestled between the lush green hills and sparkling rivers, lay the village of Akyeremade. The villagers were known for their warmth, unity, and traditional ways of life. Among them was Kofi, a man of short stature but great heart. Kofi was well loved in the village for his kindness and wisdom, often offering advice and assistance to anyone in need. One day, the group of travelers arrived in Akyeremade, bringing with them tales of faraway lands and strange occurrences. Among the travelers was a woman of remarkable height, almost a giantess by the village's standards. Her name was Abena, and she towered over everyone she met, her presence both intimidating and fascinating. Despite her imposing size, Abena was gentle and kind, her heart as vast as her frame. Kofi, curious and unafraid, approached Abena and struck up a conversation. He was captivated by her stories and her unique perspective on life. Abena, in turn, was charmed by Kofi's intelligence and the way he saw the world with such clarity and compassion. They spent hours talking, sharing their hopes and dreams, and soon a deep bond formed between them. The villagers watched with mixed feelings as the relationship between Kofi and Abena blossomed. Some were supportive, admiring their courage and the love that transcended physical appearances. Others were skeptical, unable to understand how a man of Kofi's stature could be with a woman of Abena's size. Despite the whispers and raised eyebrows, Kofi and Abena remained steadfast in their affection for each other. One evening, under the light of a full moon, Kofi and Abena walked hand in hand through the village. They stopped at the great baobab tree that stood at the village center, a symbol of strength and endurance. Kofi, looking up at Abena, felt a surge of emotion. "Abena, will you marry me?" he asked, his voice steady and filled with hope. Abena's eyes sparkled with joy as she knelt down to Kofi's level. "Yes, Kofi. I will marry you," she replied, her voice soft but resonant. The villagers, who had been watching from a distance, erupted into cheers and applause. Despite their differences, Kofi and Abena's love had won the hearts of many. Preparations for the wedding began immediately. The village was abuzz with excitement as everyone wanted to contribute to the celebration. Traditional Asante decorations adorned every house, and the aroma of delicious food filled the air. The village elders, though initially hesitant, gave their blessings, recognizing the purity and strength of Kofi and Abena's love. The wedding day arrived, and it was a sight to behold. Kofi, dressed in his finest Kent cloth, stood proudly beside Abena, who looked radiant in her traditional attire. The ceremony was filled with music, dance, and heartfelt speeches. As they exchanged vows, Kofi and Abena promised to support each other, to embrace their differences, and to face any challenges that came their way with love and understanding. Their union was not just a marriage of two individuals, but a symbol of unity and acceptance for the entire village. Kofi and Abena's story became a legend in Akyeremade, a tale of love that defied conventions and brought people together. However, as with all great tales, their journey was only beginning and many challenges lay ahead. Life for Kofi and Abena after their marriage was filled with joy and challenges. They built a home together on the outskirts of Akyeremade, where they could enjoy the peace and privacy they cherished. Abena tended to their garden, her large hands gentle with the delicate plants, while Kofi used his wisdom to manage their household and mediate village disputes. Their love grew stronger with each passing day, and they became an inseparable part of the village. However, not everyone was pleased with their union. A few villagers harbored resentment and jealousy, unable to accept their unconventional relationship. Among them was Kwame, a man of considerable influence and pride, who believed that Kofi had overstepped his place. Kwame had always been envious of Kofi's wisdom and the respect he commanded, and Kofi's marriage to Abena only fueled his bitterness. One evening, as the sun set and the village prepared for the night, Kwame gathered a group of like-minded individuals. "We cannot allow this mockery to continue," he said, his voice laced with contempt. "Kofi and Abena's union is an affront to our traditions. We must put an end to it. The group murmured in agreement, their faces hardening with resolve. They devised a plan to undermine Kofi and Abena, hoping to create discord and drive them apart. Their first step was to spread rumors and sow seeds of doubt among the villagers. They whispered that Abena's size was a sign of a curse and that Kofi was using dark magic to control her. The rumors spread quickly, and soon, the atmosphere in the village changed. People who had once smiled and greeted Kofi and Abena with warmth now looked at them with suspicion and fear. The couple noticed the shift but remained strong, refusing to let the negativity affect their relationship. One day, while Abena was tending to their garden, a group of children approached her, their eyes wide with curiosity and fear. "Are you a giant because of a curse?" one of them asked timidly. Abena, taken aback, knelt down to their level and smiled gently. "No, my dear. I am not cursed. I am just different, and that's okay. We all have our unique qualities." The children, reassured by her kindness, ran back to their parents with a different story. However, the damage was done, and the rumors continued to fester. Kofi, sensing the growing tension, decided to confront Kwame and his followers. He knew that open confrontation might not be the best approach, so he chose a more subtle path. Kofi invited the village elders to a meeting at their home, hoping to address the issues directly. The elders, though hesitant, agreed to attend. Kofi and Abena welcomed them warmly, offering food and drink as they sat down to discuss the situation. "Elders," Kofi began, his voice calm and measured, "I understand that there are concerns about our union. I want to assure you that our love is genuine and that Abena is not cursed. We seek only to live in peace and contribute to the well-being of our village." The elders listened attentively, their expressions softening. They had always respected Kofi's wisdom and could see the sincerity in his eyes. "We appreciate your openness, Kofi," said Nana Ose, the oldest of the elders. "But we must address the fears of the villagers. Perhaps a public gathering where you and Abena can speak to everyone would help dispel these rumors." Kofi agreed, and plans for the gathering were made. The day of the meeting arrived, and the entire village gathered in the square. Kofi and Abena stood before them, their hands clasped tightly together. Kofi spoke first, addressing the rumors and the love they shared. Abena then shared her story, her voice filled with emotion and strength. As they spoke, the villagers began to see them in a new light. Their fears and doubts melted away, replaced by admiration and respect. Even Kwame, standing at the back of the crowd, couldn't help but feel a pang of guilt for his actions. The gathering ended with a renewed sense of unity and acceptance, and Kofi and Abena's place in the village was reaffirmed. Months passed, and Kofi and Abena continued to build their life together. They were blessed with a daughter, Amma, who brought immense joy to their lives. Amma was a delightful child, with her father's wisdom and her mother's gentle strength. The villagers, now more accepting, celebrated her birth with great enthusiasm, seeing her as a symbol of hope and unity. Despite the happiness in their home, a shadow loomed over Kofi and Abena. Kwame, though subdued by the village gathering, had not let go of his resentment. He continued to harbor ill feelings towards the couple, and his bitterness grew each day. He watched them from a distance, plotting ways to disrupt their peace. One fateful day, a severe drought struck Akyeremade. The rivers dried up, crops withered, and the villagers faced a dire shortage of food and water. Panic and despair gripped the community as they struggled to survive. The elders convened to find a solution, but their efforts seemed futile. In their desperation, the villagers began to turn against each other, seeking someone to blame for their misfortune. Kwame seized this opportunity to reignite the old rumors. "This drought is a punishment for our acceptance of Kofi and Abena's unnatural union," he proclaimed to anyone who would listen. "We must drive them out to appease the gods and bring back the rains." His words spread like wildfire, and soon, a mob gathered outside Kofi and Abena's home. The air was thick with tension and anger as the villagers demanded their exile. Kofi, holding Amma in his arms, stepped forward to face the crowd. Abena stood beside him, her towering presence both a shield and a target. "Please, my friends," Kofi pleaded, "we are not to blame for this drought. We have always sought to live in harmony with you and the land. Driving us out will not bring back the rains." But the mob, fueled by fear and Kwame's manipulations, was beyond reason. They pushed forward, shouting and demanding that Kofi and Abena leave the village. Seeing no other option, Kofi and Abena gathered their belongings and left their home, carrying Amma with them. As they walked away, the villagers watched in silence. Some felt a deep sense of shame, knowing that they were succumbing to fear and prejudice. Others, still gripped by superstition, believed they were doing the right thing. Kofi and Abena, hearts heavy with sorrow, journeyed into the forest, unsure of what lay ahead. They found refuge in a small clearing near a hidden spring. There, they set up a makeshift shelter and tried to rebuild their lives. Abena used her strength to gather food and water, while Kofi tended to Amma and kept their spirits high with stories and songs. Despite their hardships, their love for each other and their daughter remained unshaken. One night, as they sat by the fire, Kofi spoke softly to Abena. "We may have been cast out, but we still have each other. We must remain strong and find a way to return to our village with honor." Abena nodded, her eyes filled with determination. "We will survive this, Kofi. And we will prove to the villagers that our love is not a curse but a blessing." Determined to restore their place in the village and prove their worth, Kofi and Abena decided to embark on a quest. They had heard of a wise old healer, Nana Kwaku, who lived in the mountains and was known for his knowledge of the natural world. It was said that he could bring rain and end the drought if he deemed the cause just. Leaving Amma in the care of a trusted friend they had made in the forest, Kofi and Abena set off on their journey. The path to the mountains was treacherous, filled with dense undergrowth, wild animals, and steep cliffs. However, their resolve and love for each other gave them the strength to press on. After several days of arduous travel, they finally reached the healer's abode, a humble hut surrounded by medicinal plants and ancient trees. Nana Kwaku, an elderly man with wise eyes and a gentle demeanor, welcomed them warmly. He listened intently as Kofi and Abena recounted their tale, their exile, and the plight of their village. Nana Kwaku pondered their story, his fingers lightly stroking his long, white beard. "The drought is indeed severe," he said finally. "But it is not a punishment from the gods. It is a natural occurrence, exacerbated by the villagers' fear and discord. To bring back the rains, harmony must be restored in Akyeremade." Kofi and Abena exchanged hopeful glances. "What can we do to restore harmony?" Kofi asked. The healer handed them a small, intricately carved wooden box. "Inside this box is a special seed," he explained. "Plant it in the heart of your village, and it will grow into a tree that symbolizes unity and resilience. Its presence will remind the villagers of the strength that comes from accepting and embracing each other's differences. When the tree blooms, the rains will return." With gratitude and renewed purpose, Kofi and Abena thanked Nana Kwaku and began their journey back to Akyeremade. They navigated the treacherous path with care, the precious seed their beacon of hope. Upon reaching their forest refuge, they retrieved Amma and prepared to return to the village. As they approached the outskirts of Akyeremade, they were met with wary gazes and murmurs of surprise. The villagers, still struggling with the drought, were skeptical of their return. Kofi and Abena, undeterred, called for a gathering at the village square. Standing before the crowd, Kofi held up the wooden box. "We have journeyed far and found a way to bring back the rains," he announced. "Inside this box is a seed that symbolizes unity. When planted, it will grow into a tree that will remind us all of the strength in our differences and the power of harmony." The villagers listened, their expressions a mix of curiosity and doubt. Kwame, standing at the edge of the crowd, scowled but remained silent. Kofi and Abena approached the center of the square, where they carefully planted the seed. They tended to it with care, watering it with the last drops of their own precious water supply. Days turned into weeks, and the seed began to sprout. The villagers, intrigued by the growing plant, started to gather around it daily. As the tree grew, so did their understanding and acceptance. They began to see Kofi and Abena in a new light, recognizing the couple's unwavering love and determination. When the tree finally bloomed, its branches heavy with vibrant flowers, the skies opened up, and the long-awaited rains poured down. The villagers rejoiced, dancing and singing in the rain, their spirits lifted. Kwame, humbled by the couple's perseverance and the villagers' change of heart, approached Kofi and Abena with a bowed head. "I was wrong," he admitted, his voice trembling with emotion. "I let my jealousy and fear blind me. Please forgive me." Kofi and Abena embraced him, their hearts filled with forgiveness and hope. The rains continued to fall, nourishing the land and restoring life to Akyeremade. The villagers, united once more, celebrated their newfound harmony and the love that had brought them back together. With the drought behind them and the village flourishing once more, Kofi and Abena thought their troubles were over. However, the journey to full acceptance and unity was far from complete. Despite the blossoming tree and the return of the rains, some villagers still harbored old prejudices and doubts. One day, as Kofi and Abena were walking through the village, they overheard a group of men talking. "The rains came back because of the tree, not because of them," one of the men said, his voice dripping with skepticism. "They still don't belong here." Kofi felt a pang of sadness but remained resolute. He knew that changing hearts and minds would take time. Abena squeezed his hand, her eyes reflecting his determination. "We must continue to show them who we are, Kofi. Our actions will speak louder than their words." They decided to take an active role in the community, participating in village activities and helping wherever they could. Abena used her strength to help rebuild homes and tend to the fields, while Kofi offered his wisdom and guidance. Slowly, their efforts began to win over more villagers. One evening, as the village gathered for a traditional storytelling session, Nanaya, the village elder, invited Kofi to share a story. Kofi stood before the crowd, his heart pounding with a mix of nerves and excitement. "This is a story about a mighty river and a small pebble," Kofi began. The river, with its powerful currents, believed that it was invincible. But one day, a small pebble, washed into the riverbed, began to change its course. The river, at first, resisted the pebble's presence, but over time, it learned that the pebble's unique position created new paths, enriching the river's journey. The villagers listened intently, the metaphor not lost on them. Kofi continued, "We are like that river and pebble. Our differences, when embraced, can lead to greater strength and harmony. Together, we can create a path that benefits us all." As Kofi finished, the villagers erupted into applause. Even those who had been skeptical began to see the wisdom in his words. Nanaya smiled approvingly, her eyes shining with pride. However, not everyone was convinced. Kwame, though outwardly repentant, still struggled with his own insecurities and need for control. He decided to challenge Kofi's newfound influence by proposing a series of tests, claiming that they would prove whether Kofi and Abena truly belonged in the village. The elders, though hesitant, agreed to the tests, hoping they would settle the matter once and for all. The first test was one of strength. Abena was to lift a massive stone that had been placed in the village square. With grace and ease, she hoisted the stone above her head, earning the admiration of many onlookers. The second test was one of wisdom. Kofi was asked to solve a complex riddle that had stumped many in the past. He listened carefully, his mind working swiftly, and within moments, he provided the correct answer. The villagers marveled at his intelligence and insight. The final test was one of compassion. Kofi and Abena were asked to mediate a dispute between two families who had been feuding for generations. They listened to both sides with empathy and patience, helping the families find common ground and reach a peaceful resolution. The villagers watched in awe as the long-standing feud was resolved. By the end of the tests, Kofi and Abena had proven their worth beyond any doubt. The villagers, moved by their strength, wisdom, and compassion, fully embraced them as an integral part of the community. Even Kwame, seeing the overwhelming support for the couple, finally let go of his grudges and accepted them. Kofi and Abena's journey was far from over, but they had overcome one of their greatest challenges. They had shown that love, unity, and perseverance could triumph over prejudice and fear. The village of Akyeremade was stronger for it, and their story would be remembered for generations to come. As time went on, Kofi and Abena continued to live harmoniously with the villagers of Akyeremade. Their daughter, Amma, grew into a bright and spirited young girl, adored by all. However, life is unpredictable, and even in times of peace and prosperity, sorrow can strike without warning. One fateful day, a severe illness swept through the village. Many fell sick, including Kofi. Despite Abena's tireless efforts to nurse him back to health, his condition worsened. The village healer did everything he could, but the illness proved too strong. Kofi's once vibrant eyes grew dim, and he grew weaker by the day. Abena stayed by his side, holding his hand and whispering words of love and encouragement. Amma, too young to fully understand, sensed the gravity of the situation and clung to her mother. The entire village, having come to respect and love Kofi, prayed for his recovery. In his final moments, Kofi called for Abena and Amma. His voice, though faint, carried the same warmth and wisdom that had always defined him. "Abena, my love," he whispered, "you have been my strength and my heart. Promise me you will continue to live with the same courage and kindness that brought us together." Tears streamed down Abena's face as she nodded. "I promise, Kofi." He then turned to Amma, his eyes filled with a father's love. "Amma, my precious daughter, you are the light of my life. Never forget the lessons we have learned. Be brave, be kind, and always seek to bring people together." Amma, her small face wet with tears, held her father's hand tightly. "I will, Papa. I promise." With those final words, Kofi closed his eyes and took his last breath. The village mourned deeply for the loss of a man who had touched so many lives. Abena, though heartbroken, found strength in her promise to Kofi. She knew she had to carry on, not only for herself and Amma but also to honor Kofi's memory. Life without Kofi was a new and painful reality for Abena and Amma. Abena threw herself into work, helping the villagers and ensuring that Kofi's legacy of kindness and wisdom lived on. Amma, though young, showed remarkable resilience. She often visited the tree that Kofi and Abena had planted, finding solace in its shade and remembering her father's words. The villagers, recognizing the depth of Abena's loss, rallied around her and Amma. They offered support, companionship, and love, creating a strong network that helped Abena through her darkest days. Nana Ya, the village elder, often spent time with Amma, sharing stories and wisdom that kept Kofi's spirit alive in the young girl's heart. One day, as Abena was working in the fields, she noticed a group of children struggling to carry a heavy load. She hurried over to help, lifting the burden with ease and encouraging the children to work together. As she watched them succeed, she felt a sense of fulfillment. Kofi's teachings about unity and strength in diversity had taken root in the village just as deeply as the tree they had planted. Amma, inspired by her father's wisdom and her mother's strength, grew into a compassionate and intelligent young woman. She often spoke of her father's lessons and used them to mediate disputes, teach younger children, and bring people together. She became a living testament to Kofi's legacy, a beacon of hope and unity in Akyeremade. Despite the sorrow of losing Kofi, Abena and Amma found a way to honor his memory through their actions and the love they shared with others. Their journey was a reminder that even in the face of great loss, love and unity could create a lasting impact, transforming grief into a powerful force for good. Years passed, and the village of Akyeremade thrived. The tree planted by Kofi and Abena stood tall and strong, its branches providing shade and its blossoms a symbol of unity and resilience. Abena, though still carrying the weight of her loss, found solace in the community she had helped build. Amma, now a young woman, had grown into a respected and beloved member of the village. One day, a group of strangers arrived in Akyeremade. They were traders from a distant land, bringing with them exotic goods and stories of far-off places. Among them was a young man named Kojo, whose charm and adventurous spirit quickly caught Amma's attention. Kojo, equally captivated by Amma's intelligence and grace, sought every opportunity to be near her. As Amma and Kojo spent more time together, a deep bond began to form. They shared stories, dreams, and hopes for the future. However, not everyone in the village was pleased with this new development. Some feared that Kojo, as an outsider, might disrupt the harmony they had worked so hard to achieve. Abena, ever the wise and compassionate mother, watched the budding relationship with both joy and concern. She knew that Amma had to follow her heart but also understood the villagers' apprehensions. One evening, as Amma sat by the tree, lost in thought, Abena joined her. "My daughter," Abena said gently, "I see the love in your eyes when you look at Kojo. But love, as your father and I learned, is not without its challenges. You must be prepared to face them with the same strength and wisdom that brought us together." Amma nodded, her eyes reflecting her mother's strength. "I understand, Mama. I believe that Kojo and I can bring even more unity to our village. We just need to show them that love, no matter where it comes from, can only make us stronger." Encouraged by her mother's words, Amma decided to speak to the village elders. She and Kojo approached Nana and the other elders, seeking their blessing and acceptance. Amma spoke passionately about the importance of unity and the lessons her father had taught her. Kojo, in turn, expressed his deep respect for the village and his desire to be a part of it. The elders listened carefully, their expressions thoughtful. After much deliberation, Nana spoke. "Amma, you have shown great wisdom and strength, just as your father did. Kojo, we welcome you with open hearts, but know that you must earn our trust and respect. Together, you must prove that love can indeed bring us closer." With the elders' cautious approval, Amma and Kojo set out to demonstrate their commitment to the village. They worked tirelessly, helping with daily tasks, organizing community events, and mediating disputes. Slowly but surely, they began to win over even the most skeptical villagers. However, their journey was not without obstacles. One night, a fire broke out in the village, threatening to destroy homes and crops. Amma and Kojo, along with Abena and other villagers, sprang into action. They formed a human chain, passing buckets of water from the river to the flames. Kojo's strength and bravery shone through as he helped save several homes, earning the admiration of many. The fire was eventually extinguished, and the village was saved. As they stood together, exhausted but victorious, the villagers realized that Amma and Kojo had proven their worth. Their love and determination had not only survived the test of time but had also strengthened the bonds within the community. Amma and Kojo's journey was a testament to the enduring power of love and unity. They had faced challenges and overcome them, just as Kofi and Abena had done. Their story, like the tree that stood tall in the village square, became a symbol of resilience and hope for generations to come. As the years went by, Amma and Kojo's love story became an integral part of Akyeremade's history. They were not only a symbol of unity and resilience but also a living example of the values Kofi and Abena had instilled in the village. Their actions continued to inspire others, and the village thrived under their influence. One day, as the village prepared for the annual Yam Festival, a time to honor the ancestors and celebrate the harvest, Amma and Kojo were tasked with organizing the event. The festival was a significant tradition in Akyeremade, bringing together villagers to give thanks and seek blessings for the future. As they worked tirelessly to prepare for the festivities, strange occurrences began to happen. Tools went missing, decorations were mysteriously damaged, and an unsettling sense of unease spread through the village. Some villagers whispered that the spirits of the ancestors were displeased, and fear began to take hold. Amma, determined to uncover the truth, sought counsel from Nana Ya and the other elders. They gathered around the great baobab tree, a sacred place where they believed the spirits of the ancestors resided. The elders performed a traditional ritual, seeking guidance and clarity. As the ritual concluded, Nana Ya spoke with a voice filled with wisdom. The ancestors are indeed trying to communicate with us. They are not angry, but they wish to remind us of the importance of unity and respect for traditions. We must honor them by addressing any discord within our community. Amma and Kojo took the elders' words to heart and decided to investigate further. They spoke to villagers, listened to their concerns, and sought to understand any underlying issues. Through their conversations, they discovered that a few families were still harboring old grudges and unresolved conflicts. Realizing that these hidden tensions were the root cause of the disturbances, Amma and Kojo organized a village meeting. They invited everyone to come together and share their grievances openly. The meeting began with hesitation, but soon, as people started to speak, the atmosphere shifted. Long-buried resentments were aired and heartfelt apologies were exchanged. Amma and Kojo facilitated the discussions with patience and empathy, drawing upon the lessons Kofi had taught them. Slowly, the villagers began to reconcile their differences, and a renewed sense of unity emerged. The spirits of the ancestors, sensing the healing taking place, ceased their disturbances. The Yam Festival went ahead as planned, more vibrant and joyous than ever before. The villagers danced, sang, and celebrated their unity and resilience. Amma and Kojo, standing hand in hand, looked out at the sea of smiling faces and felt a deep sense of fulfillment. As the festival drew to a close and Nana Ya approached Amma and Kojo, her eyes filled with pride. "You have honored the ancestors and strengthened our community. Your love and dedication are a testament to the spirit of Akyeremade. The ancestors are at peace, and so are we." Amma and Kojo's journey had come full circle. They had faced challenges, overcome obstacles, and brought their village together. Their story, intertwined with the legacy of Kofi and Abena, would be told for generations, a reminder that love, unity, and respect for tradition could overcome any adversity. The great baobab tree, standing tall and ancient, seemed to nod in approval, its branches swaying gently in the breeze. And in the hearts of the villagers, the spirit of the ancestors lived on, guiding them toward a future filled with hope, harmony, and endless possibilities.